As we conclude our week talking about the family of God, I want to close with the final motivating verse that Jesus gives us from Matthew chapter 5, verse 16. This is as part of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount. It comes at the end after the Beatitudes. And if you look at verses 13 to 16, Jesus says, "You are the salt of the earth," then goes on to say something about salt. He says, "You are the light of the world." He says a little about that. And then in verse 16 he says, "In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven." Let your light shine. One of the very first Christian songs I can remember learning as a little kid is "This Little Light of Mine, I'm going to let it shine." And I'm guessing a few of you learned that when you were a child also. And it's a very nice, positive song, and I'm not going to let Satan it out. I'm going to let it shine. Still stays with me from VBS from when I was like 4 years old. But what this verse implies, first of all, is that the light of Christ and the light of God is in you, that there is light in you and not darkness, and that the purpose of light is to shine before others. Now what's interesting here is in the very next chapter, Jesus, when he's talking about prayer and when he's talking about giving and he's talking about fasting, he says you don't do those things so that others will look at you and say how wonderful you are, because then you've already gotten your reward, and your Father who sees in secret won't reward you. But here in chapter 5, which is why reading verses in context is always so important, after talking about you being salt and being light, we are to let our light shine before others, but not so that they will think we're so spiritual, not so they'll think we are so good, not so that people will look at you and say, "Oh my, you are just the nicest, best person, you're so amazing, you're so incredible, I don't know how you do what you do, blah, 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 blah." That's not the point. We let our lights shine so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father in heaven. And so that's the motivation. That's what drives us. It's not so people will say that we are wonderful, but they'll see our good works, and they'll give glory to our Father in heaven, who is making you the kind of person who is light, who is salt, and who is bringing other people to the kingdom. We are not to hide our light under a bushel basket. We're to put it on the lampstand so that it gives light to all in the house, as Jesus says in verse 15. So as you go about your day today, I really hope you'll think about, how can I be light? In a world in which, frankly, there's a lot of darkness, there's a lot of violence and pain and fear and worry and uncertainty, and what a difference it can make if all of us who are followers of Christ can let our light shine, and by that meaning that we can be doing good works which bless God's people and which lead to people praising our Father in heaven.